everything will be drowned with water.
Different types of lives and properties will be destroyed.
If these lands were to be flooded, we would have no choice. We would have to run into the hills.
Where shall we stay?
There will be a chance to lose our culture, and the culture should be preserved.
These mountains are all we know.
The history of the indigenous people will be lost.
In the mountains of southeastern Nepal, a group of indigenous people have fought to preserve their way of life and prevent the construction of a dam on the Koshi River. If the dam is built, it holds promise of economic development and steady energy for Nepal and its neighbors. It also holds promise of loss and destruction. While the dam holds many promises for the impoverished country, promises such as hydroelectricity, improved irrigation, and access to clean water, it also holds promise of loss and destruction to the indigenous people who call the Koshi River Basin home.
त्यसपछि जब 269 मिटर चाहिँ उचाइमा बाँध बान्ने भन्ने कुरा सुनियो अनि त्यो कुराले हाम्रो त एकदमै त्यो ढुकढुकी पनि रहेन अब बाँध त एकताल थुनिन्छ थुनेपछि त्यो जमेको पानी त धेरै माथि जान्छ हामी त सुरुमै पानी भित्र पर्छौं ल ठीक छ त्यो पनि जानकारी देला हामी मान्छे भागौँला हाम्रो सम्पूर्ण खाने बस्ने हाम्रो संस्कृति धर्म लिङ्ग सारा कुरा त डुब्ने भयो क्षति हुने भयो त्यसो भएपछि हामी भागेर त मगन्ते भिखारी भएर हिँड्न त भएन भन्ने कुरो चाहिँ जनतामा अर्थात व्यक्तिगत रूपमा पनि तर्सित भयो.
According to the project manager for the Joint Commission's office on the Nepal side, the 269-meter high dam will flood approximately 215 square kilometers, submerging about 75 villages and displacing several thousand individuals from their homes.
त्यो त पुरै दुबानमा पर्छ अनि विनाश हुन्छ त्यसै अवसर परिगयो नि हाम्रो त जब हाई ड्याम बनिसकेपछि त हाम्रो त सुरुमै डुबन पर्छ
कसले रोजगार देला र कहाँ बेचिएला रोजगार र कहाँ आफ्नो बस्ने टुङ्गो ठाउँ ठेगानै हुँदैन हुनसक्छ सुकुम्बासी भएर कुनै ठाउँमा कुनै रोडको आसपासमा बस्नुपर्ने अवस्था हुन्छ.
यो बारेमा अब कोशी उच्च बाँध बाँधिनु हुँदैन र यहाँको आदिवासी जनजातिको जुन ऐतिहासिक पृष्ठभूमि र आफ्नो सभ्यता छ संस्कार छ संस्कृतिहरू छ त्यो सबै गुम्ने भएकोले गर्दा यो आदिवासी जनजातिको के भन्दाखेरि आफ्नो धर्म आफ्नो पहिचान चाहिँ गुमाउनु कोही पनि मन्जुर भइरहेको देखिँदैन.
म मेरो घर परिवारको खेती हो खास गरी यो खास गरी गर्दा यो हामीले पहिलेदेखि गरिरहेको त्यही कोदो मकै अनि त्यो प्राय बेच्छौँ हामी आफूले भन्दा पनि बेच्ने काम गर्छ
त्यस्तो उता बस्न चाहिँ के भने सोच भनौँ न अब कुनै सागसब्जी भनौँ जुनै चिज पनि उहाँ चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्छ नि त पहाडमा अब राम्रो खान पाइन्छ अब मोलसोल लगाएको हुँदैन त्यही भएर चाहिँ पहाडमा बस्नलाई राम्रो हुन्छ
For generations they have lived as they do now, farming and raising livestock, educating and raising their children. It is a way of life they hope continues.
मेरो हजुरबुवाहरू यहीँ बित्नुभयो मेरो बुवाहरू यहीँ बित्नुभयो त्यो भएकोले गर्दाखेरि मलाई चाहिँ लाग्छ कस्तो भने मेरो परिवारले नै अब अहिले पनि
Not only does the river provide life for the farmers and fishermen, it is also a spiritual and religious connection for the people as well. The town of Bharatapatra, one of 4 major pilgrimage sites for Hindus, sits on the banks of the South Koshi River, just a few miles from the proposed dam site.
यो हिन्दू धर्मावलम्बीहरूको जुन 4 क्षेत्र मध्येको प्रसिद्ध 4 क्षेत्र मध्येमा प्रसिद्ध बराक क्षेत्र भनिन्छ आस्थाको केन्द्र बनेको छ र प्राचीन पृथ्वीको पहिलो तीर्थको रूपमा बराक क्षेत्र धामलाई मानिन्छ शास्त्र प्रमाणित अनुसार र यहाँ चाहिँ चिताका आकांक्षा इच्छा आकांक्षाहरू चाहिँ सब पूर्ण हुने मनुष्यहरूको सबैले चाहना गरेका भावनाहरू सबै पूर्ण भइरहेको हुनाले चाहिँ यहाँ सबैको विशेष रूपले यहाँ आउने भक्तजनहरू भनौँ मन्दिरमा आइसकेपछि भक्तजनहरूलाई चाहिँ विशेष यहाँ आउने भनेको चाहिँ एउटा दर्शनार्थ
It is here Hindus believe that the Lord Vishnu descended from heaven as a boar to rescue the earth, which was stolen by an evil demon. Believing the water of Bharatapatra to be sacred, people from across the region come here for worship.
आस्थाको केन्द्र बनेको छ र प्राचीन पृथ्वीको पहिलो तीर्थको रूपमा बराक क्षेत्र धाम
While the indigenous people along the river are defending their culture from the growing pressures of the world around them, the needs of a developing country are going unanswered. According to a study by the World Bank, almost half of Nepalese citizens live below the poverty line, and most lack access to clean drinking water. The country experiences at least 12 hours a day without electricity. And according to the United Nations, residents are increasingly dependent on neighboring countries for food production.
The country is facing perhaps the worst phase of electricity crisis, power crisis, and this is perhaps the second largest river which can produce the hydroelectricity generation. It will produce a lot of economic advantages. First is that the biodiversity will be maintained. Wildlife sanctuary will be properly maintained. If dam is properly maintained, it will not allow the soil erosion to take place. Fertility of land will be properly maintained. That Koshi River can be developed as the multi-purpose project. You can produce the hydroelectricity, you can supply the irrigation facility to the farmers, you can develop that river as the fish farming. So it will produce a lot of advantages, cumulative advantage, productive benefits to the common people. And the serious advantage that we can get immediately, effectively, would be the hydroelectricity generation and the irrigation facility to the Nepalese farmers.
In addition to economic advantages, much needed health benefits can be produced by the dam as well.
In Nepal, even in this age, people are dying of waterborne disease, dying. People in Nepal are dying of famine, even now, lack of food. So if we have water and if we can increase the cropping intensity from 1 now to at least 3 by building these projects and providing irrigation in the dry season, the food production will be increased and the starvation will be limited in the history pages.
होइन यो यस्तो नि यो जमिन जोगाइमा भोलिका हाम्रा भावी पुस्ताले हुने हो हामीले जमिन जोगाउन सकेनौँ भने हाम्रो वन जोगाउन सकेनौँ भने गाउँ जोगाउन सकेनौँ भने हामी नै रहेनौँ भने त्यो भोलिको लागि के हुन्छ होला भन्ने त अब त्यो त सिधै छ नि त्यो अकल्पनीय कुरो हो हामीले यो कोशी आइडेमको विरोध गर्नुपर्छ
अहिलेसम्म हामी शान्तिप्रिय ढङ्गले नै के भन्छ शक्ति प्रयोग गरिरहेका छौँ धारा जुलुसहरू गरिरहेका छौँ कुनै अप्रिय घटनाहरू घटाएका छैनौँ यदि सरकारले गोली र बन्दुकको के भन्दाखेरि भरमा चाहिँ के भने जनतालाई दबावमा राख्ने कोशी बेसिन क्षेत्रको मान्छेहरूले पछि पर्नेवाला छैन
In spite of the health and economical needs of Nepal, a group of indigenous people are exercising their power to choose their own fate. Faced with growing pressures from the world around them, these individuals are willing to fight to preserve a way of life they have known for generations, so that their children's grandchildren will have an opportunity to live a life that is disappearing across the globe. They have chosen to remain tied to the roots and shun the modern world's need of economic development. In the end, the pressures may prove too much for them. Like the South Koshi River, at risk of becoming a tamed force for the greater good, the indigenous people are at risk of losing their way of life. But unlike the river, the people are fighting back and exercising their power to choose their own destiny.